Over the past week, I've been running a simple CS2 skin strategy that generated profits almost every day. I'm going to walk you through step by step exactly how it works so you can understand the process. And it's so straightforward that you'll be able to try it for yourself in just a couple of minutes. If you've ever wanted to buy a play skin or invest in a CS2 item, you've probably checked a couple different marketplaces to compare prices. Because CS2 skins trade on an open market, prices can vary a lot between platforms. Sellers can list items at whatever price they want, different marketplaces charge different fees, and some sites update their prices slower than others. That means that often the exact same item will be cheaper on one site and more expensive on another at the same time. When that happens, there's an opportunity to take advantage of these inconsistencies and pocket the difference. There are a few different ways to approach it, but the easiest starting point is through a tool called Skin Ledger. They're not a sponsor of the channel, it's just a tool I've personally found useful. You can visit it with the link in the description, and then once you create an account and link your Steam profile, you can open the arbitrage tab. This is where the fun begins. This video's sponsor, SkinSwap, is giving you a skin worth up to $50 entirely for free whenever you do your first trade and use my referral code. If you want to refresh your loadout, you can trade your skins for brand new ones in just a couple of seconds. Plus, their market tab now integrates cheap listings from Chinese sites so you can access the best prices without the need for a Chinese ID or bank account. They accept deposits via crypto, MasterCard, and Visa. If you want to cash out, SkinSwap makes that simple too with instant sell options to PayPal or crypto. On top of that, they run free daily, weekly, and monthly giveaways with the chance to earn extra entries simply by trading. Use the link below for a 3% lifetime sales bonus and a free skin worth up to $50. Big thanks to SkinSwap for supporting the channel. First thing you want to do is set the base marketplace to UPIN and set the target as CS float. This page will now scan all of the items in your inventory and rank them according to the biggest price discrepancies, with the percentage here indicating the CS float price relative to UPIN. One question you might have is why is UPIN if most people outside China can't access it? That's where SkinSwap comes in. Regardless of them being a sponsor of the channel, I genuinely use this site every day. They've transformed their market tab to integrate UPIN listings alongside their existing trading system. So that means, for example, if I take a look at the price of the CZ polymer in Factory New, we'll find listings starting at $1.78. Any listings that have P2P next to them are coming from UPIN sellers, whereas those marked with instant will be sent by the site's own bots. It's all integrated, so you get to benefit from the cheaper Chinese prices, but don't have to actually visit UPIN itself. Now, if we take a look at the cheapest CZ polymer listings on CS Float, they start at $2.75. as noted in Skin Ledger. And indeed, 2.75 divided by 1.78 is 1.54, or 154% as displayed. So here's the concept. Sell a skin you already own on CS Float, and rebuy the same item for cheaper on SkinSwap. The great thing about this approach is it's quick. We're not trying to predict price movements in the future, it's simply sell and then immediately rebuy based on current prices. Plus, you can start this strategy with just a couple of dollars if you already own some skins. Let me show you some real examples. A few days ago, the P250 Constructivist was showing one of the biggest gaps at 175%. On SkinSwap, the cheapest listing was at 29 cents, and then plenty more at 30. On CS Float, the cheapest ones began at 50. That's 67% higher. Of course, for some items with low supply or a recent spike in demand, these cheapest listings might not always reflect actual current demand, so it can be worthwhile taking a look at the buy orders. In this case, there were 5 set up at 44 cents and 10 at 42 cents. That meant I could insta-sell all 14 of my P250s into those buy orders for $5.98 instead of waiting for a buyer. CS Float has a 2% sales fee, so I ended up with $5.86 before withdrawing. Rebuying 14 P250s on SkinSwap at 30 cents each with a 1% deposit fee essentially net me a profit of $1.62. That's a 27% increase on my initial capital, and it only took a couple of minutes to execute. If I had a bit of patience to wait for my CS Float listings to sell at a higher price point, I could have potentially increased that margin. And if I make my way down the list for all the skins I own, those small amounts could add up quickly. Yesterday, I found Crimson Foils for $17.31 on SkinSwap and $18.89 on Float. That's $1 profit post fees. And since I had 25 Crimson Foils, I was able to make over $20 just flipping them. One factor that's important to take into account is that there aren't usually a ton of buy orders for specific skins unless they're extremely popular. So if you're trying to replicate this strategy on a larger scale, it could be more profitable to find find discrepancies on cases or even the Genesis terminal, as they often have thousands of buy orders set up and large quantities could move quicker. Now, I do want to quickly mention that this video is not professional financial advice. CS2 skins are virtual items and can be highly volatile. Past performance is not indicative of future results, so please do your own further research and consider your financial position before making any decisions. So far, everything we've talked about involves skins you already own, but there's another variation of this strategy where you buy items specifically because they're underpriced relative to other marketplaces. The best tool I found for this method is on Price Empire. Once on the site, go to Apps, Sniper tab. In the filters, you can select the site you plan to sell on. Let's just set it to CS Float again for simplicity's sake, and then select the marketplaces you're willing to buy from. I'll select SkinSwap again for now. If you want to experiment with different selling platforms, Skinport is another option worth checking. Because it has a smaller user base, there's less competition pushing prices down, which can lead to higher sale prices. However, there is an 8% sales fee to keep in mind. You can also set your desired price, and I generally exclude anything under $5 as the margins are just too small. One setting that's particularly important is the max buff percentage. I usually set it to around 85%. Because we'll lose roughly 5% to fees and market volatility can eat into margins, I like having at least a 10% buffer. Now, the prices listed below each item are the cheapest listing on SkinSwap or the marketplaces of your choice. And to the left is a percentage of the CS Float listing. For example, the factory new StatTrack Mirror Mosaic is currently going for $93.74 on CS Float and $66.90 on SkinSwap. At first glance, that looks like a massive difference, but we need to dig a little deeper. If we look at the current buy orders, they're only sitting around the $63 mark, and recent sales lie closer to $70. On top of that, only one or two seem to sell each day on average. That's a sign of weak liquidity, which means I would probably pass on this one. However, as I was browsing a few minutes later, I came across another opportunity. All right, I'm having another look today. Minimal wear knives, like marble fades, Dopplers, float capped ones. Probably going to avoid them, not too popular. There's a lot of stickers here. Glock Green Line, Watchdog, Glock Green Line. 80% apparently for the Glock Green Line. Factory new, that's definitely possible. We're going to go on to SkinSwap, put in Green Line, factory new, $11.12. Yeah, quite a few selling around that price point. Go on to CS Float, Green Line, factory new, lowest price, $14. So $11.12, $14. Current highest buy order, $12.90. If we look at the, fairly consistent pricing over the week. In February 21st, $11. So that's a couple of weeks ago now. But if we look at the most recent sales, $14 a couple of hours ago. Obviously this one sold for a little more, but it's got a slightly lower float. But yeah, here for at 0.056, and the cheapest one here is 0.054. Jeez, so that's a low float. There's a $12.09 that sold 17 hours ago. 0.06, 0.069, $13.69, $13.58, $13.58, $13.58. There are a lot of them selling around that $13.50 price point. But yeah, definitely just some standard floats selling up to $14. If I could sell for $14, that would be roughly $2.50 profit. And this one seemed fairly low risk, as even the cheapest sale in the last month would break even. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, the skin market is volatile, and if some big update dropped during the week, prices could certainly change during the trade hold period. Regardless, I decided this was worth a shot. I think I'm going to pick that one up, and we'll see how we go. If you've made it this far in the video, I've got something for you. This month, I'm giving away the brand new AWP Queen's Gambit in Field Tested to one of you. To enter, just like the video and leave a comment including the word Queen. The winner will be chosen on the 31st. Good luck. If you're looking at higher value skins like knives or gloves, I usually follow a few guidelines. I tend to stay away from poor conditions and finishes, like battle-scarred Boreal Forest or well-worn Urban Mask, for example. I also avoid expensive stickers and most StatTrack skins, as demand for these tends to be weaker. I always check recent sales history on items I plan to buy to ensure I'll be able to make the flip quickly after the trade hold expires. Otherwise, you might have to discount heavily and destroy your margin to actually sell, defeating the entire purpose. For pattern-based skins like Case Hardened, Fade, or Doppler finishes, you also need to check the pattern or fade percentage carefully, because those factors can drastically affect value. To make the calculations easier, I built a spreadsheet that shows what price you need to sell at to break even or achieve certain margins after marketplace fees. Simply input your purchase price here, adjust the fee percentages if needed, and the sheet updates automatically. If you want to use it yourself, you can grab it in the description. Just click File, make a copy, and you'll be able to edit it with your own numbers. This is actually just one of 15 methods I'm currently using to make serious money with CS2 skins, so be sure to check out my ranking of all the best strategies next. Thanks so much for watching, and take care.